Your words of affirmation aren't really going to work, aren't really going to change anything, aren't really going to do much for you unless welcome to Ticks and Skill. We try to turn our hindsight into your foresight. Welcome to the video. My name is Ugo. Your name is Blessed, and I hope you're having a lovely day. And if not, I hope after this video you do. Today we're here to talk about why words of affirmation don't really work. Especially in the long term. It can work in the short term, to G you up and kind of get you in that mood. But why in the long term, it's not a sustainable source of encouragement. It's not sustainable for source of motivation or movement or direction or taking you necessarily to the finish line. But in the short term, it could help you in terms of just giving you a quick switch. And why do I say this? Words of affirmations is something that normally is ascribed to a lot of us in terms of having a more positive image about ourselves and more, how should I say, more belief within ourselves or within our capability, whether that be in terms of the way we look, in terms of the way we perform, in terms of the way life is panning out for us, in terms of we're not getting the results that we want, and it can be a source of comfort, even to the point of a little bit of delusion, in the fact that we can say enough to ourselves that sometimes we, instead of taking the encouragement from it, we take ourselves out of reality in terms of, okay, yeah, I'm so good at this, I'm so good at this, I'm so good at this, yet the results saying you're not. And not saying that you can't continue to do and fail and get to where you're trying to be, but it's just a general point, non-specific to any particular example. Now, why I say your affirmations won't take you there is because ultimately it's like a saying they say your attitude will determine your altitude, and ultimately it's a matter of perspective. It's always a matter of perspective and how you see yourself and what is your mindset around who you are, where you are, and where you're trying to go. Now, typically, a lot of times it comes from a place where we don't really know what we want. We are not very confident in this particular aspect of our life that we're throwing affirmations in there. And so in order to actually fully, in the long term, fix that situation or change that situation to be a positive for you, it's a matter of perspective and your mindset ultimately in towards taking the positives out of that situation, understand that things are going to be okay. So, for example, for a lot of us, we say our childhood was very bad, and so the only perspective that we're looking at is from the bad parts of our childhood, in the sense that we're only thinking of all the bad stuff he did or she did or parents did or brother did or sister did, and so all we can think about, and every day we're telling ourselves that, and that's the only perspective that we're taking our life from. And then when you even ask yourself, was there any good that happened? It's like you hear people say automatically, no, there was no good. In a relationship, you see that, especially if it's a bad breakup, somebody today can be saying, this is the best relationship of my life. This is the best relationship of my life. And then tomorrow it goes sour, and then it's the worst day of my life. I wasted 3 years of my life. No, there was some good and there was some bad. But if you ask them if there was any good, some of them will say no, because the perspective that they're looking at it. And ultimately, even in your life, whether it's in terms of body positivity or in terms of what you're doing at work, all these kind of things, you have to change your mindset into way things are happening to you, into order for you to see what you can gain out of it, learn from it and grow from it, as opposed to you kind of tricking yourself that, okay, I'm doing well, I'm doing okay, I'm doing alright, and trying to say that you're going to get through it, rather than looking that you're going to get through it. All problems come to go. What are you supposed to learn from this, to take from it and move on? So ultimately, your mindset is what changes your situation in the long term. So in terms of whether it's body positivity, yeah, you can look at yourself that, okay, cool, I'm looking better today, I'm looking better today, I'm looking good, I'm looking good, I'm looking good. But it's more like understanding the perspective you see yourself. How do you see yourself that makes you need to tell yourself words of affirmation? And so it's all about root cause analysis when you're trying to solve problems that are more internal than external, in the sense of why do I see myself you know, in this particular way. Okay, at work, let me say I feel like I'm not performing that well, and I'm like telling myself, okay, I'm doing well. Okay, no, let's talk sports. You know, I'm not getting the result. I'm playing football, blah blah blah, and it's not going well, and I'm telling myself it's gonna be better. It's gonna be better. You know, instead of changing the perspective that, okay, look, I'm working on this. I'm working on my left foot. My left foot's not amazing. I'm working on it. So ultimately, at some point, I'll get it. As opposed to saying, oh no, you did good. Oh no, you did good. Oh, you're alright. And 9 times out of 10, the things that you're giving yourself words of affirmations on is not as bad. You know, you see it worse than everybody else sees it, basically, whether it's in terms of how you look, in terms of your performance at work. Even me, when I was at work at one point, I thought I was doing trash. And then I was going to the manager, like, oh no, you're doing very well, like, oh. And you just, whenever you have a situation that requires you to do words of affirmation, you have to understand the perspective that you are looking at yourself in order to make you need words of affirmation. So whether that be in the way you see yourself, in terms of your prospects, whether in terms of how your relationships are going, in terms of where you're moving in your businesses and all this kind of stuff, you know, it's also important that when you're giving yourself words of affirmation, you don't take yourself to the point of delusion where it's like everything is so rosy daisy or everything is going to be okay, that you don't learn from the situation that you're going through, or change your perspective in order for you to have different results. Because ultimately, sometimes when we do words of affirmation, we're still going on the same road that we've been going through this entire time. So this is just a short little video about just perspective. You can literally change your life if you change the perspective in the way you see your life. You know, I've met people who feel, okay, they're the first person in their family that went to university, and so for that's a big achievement, but then you're still limiting yourself the way you see yourself. You know, you're saying, okay, cool, you know, nobody in my family has done this. You're still limiting yourself based on the perspective, you know. And for some of you, you know, the perspective you see yourself is kind of the way it shapes you, and that informs your mindset of how you move. You know, everyone around you might have failed in X, Y, and Z. Cool. Now you're in your mindset, you're feeling, what's the point? It didn't work out for X, Y, and Z. Cool. You know, for everyone around you, it may have succeeded, but still, again, it's about having your perspective in the way you see your things, and don't judge things based on how they have been, rather than what you can achieve within that moment. So ultimately, words of affirmations are still good. They're still necessary in terms of giving encouragement, boosting confidence, and allowing us to, you know, excel in things that, especially on an external point of view as opposed to internal. Sometimes we need the confirmation of our peers, because as human beings, we're codependent beings. But in terms of internally for yourself, to kind of keep yourself going in the long term, it's about change your perspective, change your mindset, and change your attitude, because ultimately that will inform how you move every day, and that will also inform the results you will get. So if you don't believe in yourself, then you need to start there. You don't just need to tell yourself, I'm going to believe in myself, or tell myself I'm good at this. You need to start believing it and change the perspective and see why you see yourself like that. And ultimately, you'll be able to change who you are to be better than what you were today for tomorrow. See yourself as who you want to be or who you want to become, and treat yourself like that, and then you surely become that. If you treat yourself as who you were yesterday, before, and all that kind of stuff, then you stay there. So, you know, for some of you, your words of affirmation comes from a point of guilt. Get over it. It's happened. Move on. Change your perspective, how you see yourself. Yeah, you used to flop back in the day. You've made a lot of mistakes. Change your perspective. That was who you are. You get to choose who you be today. My name is Hugo. Your name is blessed. Don't forget to invest in yourself, your wealth, and your health. And ultimately, do an act of random kindness to somebody today, because we need to spread the love, and that's how we change the world. So hit the like button, subscribe, comment below if you want to. Just say hi, and I'll come back and say hi to you. And I hope you have a lovely day. Take care. Bye.